Hi, my name is Hallie Saintignan, and today I'm going to tell you why it's better to adopt dogs rather than buying them from breeders. When you think of a dog from the shelter, right away you think they're all mutts. But did you know that about 30% of dogs in shelters are actually purebred dogs? Adopting dogs rather than buying them from breeders is better because shelter dogs are dying every day while dogs from breeders are being overbred. We need dogs more than they need us. And dogs from the shelter build much better relationships and are better behaved than dogs from breeders. To start it off, shelter dogs are dying while bred dogs are being overbred. According to the ASPCA, I know this is hard to see, but I'll send it. There's about 670,000 dogs being put down per year. Since 2011, though, that number has dropped from 3.9 to 3.3 million. Though it has dropped, it still could be a lot better, and a lot more dog lives could be being saved. According to the Humane Society of the United States, there's over 2 million dogs being sold per year from puppy mills or breeders. People are breeding almost 3 times more dogs than there are being killed per year. 3.3 million dogs go into shelters per year. So if you take 30% of those dogs in shelters being purebred, then that's 990,000 dogs that are potentially coming from breeders and going into shelters and being put down. Based off what I've told you, you can tell numbers don't lie. But let's get into some happier things. We need dogs just as much as they need us. According to WebMD, dogs improve your health, boost your mood, and can overall help your physical fitness. A study on children that grow up in households with dogs shows that those kids wind up being healthier in the long run opposed to kids that grow up in households without dogs. And that is because dogs expose those kids at a young age to bacteria that other kids wouldn't, so their body's then immune to those things, making them healthier in the long run. Aside from that, walking your dog counts as weight bearing. So just taking your dog for a 30-minute walk every day is going to also improve your health. And aside from it just keeping you physically fit, it also gets you outside into the sunlight, getting those essential vitamins that you can't get inside. The need for dogs outside of just having them as pets is also very important. According to Share America, there's over 500,000 service dogs in the U.S., along with many other dogs used for therapy and emotional support. Veterans, the disabled, law enforcement, and many more people need dogs every day to help them make it through their day-to-day lives. But of these 500,000 dogs, only 1 in 500 come from shelters. If someone were to argue that, these service dogs need to be purebred dogs, well then you can go back to the facts that 30% of dogs in shelters are purebred dogs. So while these companies are spending loads of money to get these purebred dogs from breeders to turn into service animals, they can adopt from shelters and ultimately save money and save lives. Shelter dogs are no different from purebred dogs, besides the fact that they may be a little bit older. You may not get them as little bitty puppies, and some might have a couple different breeds mixed into them. But what really sets them apart from dogs from breeders is you build better relationships with them, and they are definitely overall better dogs. According to Best Life, shelter dogs are tested for health and behavior problems. And not only are they tested, but studies show that those dogs in shelters are tested much more thorough than the dogs that are coming from breeders. There's no doubt that shelters want their dogs to be adopted, but they also want to make sure that they're giving out dogs that are healthy and they're not going to give that shelter a bad rep. Those shelters, their goal is to get those dogs adopted. So they're not going to send a sick dog or a bad dog into the community to ruin their reputation as a shelter and then ultimately risk all those other dogs that are in there, risk their lives because they sent a bad dog into the community. Along with the dogs not only being evaluated, most of them already know basic commands like sit and shake, and a lot of those dogs coming from shelters also already have a knowledge of being house trained. This is because a lot of dogs in shelters are already coming from homes. My last fact, coming from this same website, is a study published in Journal of Veterinary Behavior, Clinical Applications, and Research, which reveals that shelter dogs are more socially driven and to gaze and interact with humans compared to dogs from breeders. So basically, when you get a dog from the shelter, you know straight away that they're going to show you more affection. I mean, aside from those very few dogs that come from abused families, which they know, the people that adopt them right away know that it's going to be a different challenge than getting a regular dog from the shelter, you're going to get more loving and attention and obedience from dogs from the shelter. As you can see, what I've said is not biased based on me owning a shelter dog. These sources have proven to be right and support everything that has been said about shelter dogs and why they are better. Adopting dogs from the shelter rather than buying them from a breeder is better because shelter dogs are dying while breeders are overbreeding. We need dogs as much as they need us, and shelter dogs build better relationships and are overall better dogs. So next time you think about getting a dog for you or your loved one, think about what I've said today and go to the shelter and adopt a dog rather than buying a breeder so you can save 2 lives, yours and theirs.